Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Algorand. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so in the previous video, what we're talking about was the potential that we could still be within this bigger idea of a fourth wave. We were looking for the possibility that we could potentially look to break away from this zone, but we actually came down and validated this by taking this 0904 level. Now, within this idea here, what we were talking about was the possibility of something like a triangle here. And what we were saying is that if this is A, B, C, D, and this was our E, what we need to start to see is nice, clean, impulsive structure to the downside. Now, we do seem to have this currently. The problem is here, what we need to just be on the lookout for is the possibility that this fourth wave could technically still be in play. Now, it wouldn't be very likely, but what we'd be saying with this idea is that we could still get something along these lines where we could get a flat correction in this area. Now, the reason why I think this is less likely is because if we look at this as an A, and this is a B wave over here. This B wave is a lot bigger than the A wave, but this can happen sometimes, particularly when B waves start to get more complex. Now, the idea within this would be rather that this is this is a B, and a C to the downside, and we could still look for a C wave to the upside. Not like I said, this is a less likely potential here, but if we do continue to hold this low here of this 0821, I will be on the lookout for the possibility that we could start to develop a 5-wave move to the upside. Now, if we are looking for this to become an expanding flat, we would be looking for this 1691 to this 1425 as a potential target. Now, alternatively, if this is going to become something like a running flat, this 1-to-1 level would then become very interesting to me towards this 1283 zone. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this level if we do look to push up here. We do have some target boxes in this area as well towards this 1217 to this 1137. And this could align with actually seeing a bit of a sweep to the upside, looking to grab any liquidity that are above these highs before still looking for that fifth wave down. Now, if this is actually the case where we had a triangle here and we're looking to break down, the count that I'm currently following within this would be that we are breaking down in a 5-wave structure. Now, within this, what we're saying is that we could potentially be looking for 1-2, and we're looking for 1.618 to the downside. Now, we have come down very deep here to this 4.618 area of this as a wave 1, and we were saying that this would have to be counted as a diagonal for wave 1, and then we'd be looking for this move to the upside for wave 2. Now we've had this move down. Now the common rejection area for wave 4 is the zone of the 0987. Invalidation of this actually being a fourth and a fifth to the downside would be by pushing back above past this 1111. Now, if we are looking at this as a fourth wave, what we'd be anticipating is a fifth wave down. Now, some target areas for this would be this white box area, this 0786 to this 0733. As well as that, we do have these purple target areas over here, which would be the 0.382 of the wave 1 to 3 and the 0.618 of the wave 1 to 3. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on these levels here as well. Particularly this 0.618 level is aligning quite nicely with the top end of this box. As well as that, within our white target box, we have the central line of this channel. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this area as well if we do see this price start to break down into this zone. Now, the thing is within this idea is that if we do get this 5-wave move to the downside here, we could potentially complete a bigger 5-wave structure from further back, in which case what we'd be expecting is a bounce to the upside. Now, if we just see a smaller bounce to the upside where we fail to break back above the 786, we need to be very careful that this move isn't extending out here where we'd get this as 1-2, and then we'd be looking for that continuation to the downside in a bigger 5-wave structure. Or alternatively, this would become A, B, C, and then we could look to form something like a diagonal pattern here, looking to push down in a contracting wedge shape, and then looking for a break at the end of that completion. So until we actually get a break back above this 1191, we need to be careful of this idea of continuation to the downside here within this move. Now, if we are looking for this idea, like I said, of this as a corrective pattern here, what we want to see is price looking to actually push to the upside here in this C wave. Now, it is not as likely as the idea of just pushing back down one more time for that fifth wave, which I think is a more probable thing to do at this point, but we can potentially look at this as a diagonal to the upside here. So what we would be saying within this is that within the structure here, particularly you can see it on the smaller time frames, that we'd have this is 1, this would be 2, 3, 4, and 5 up into this high. Now, if this is the case, what we'd then be looking for would be a wave 2 to the downside. Now, within this idea of a wave 2, what we have here at the top end of this is a very choppy move. So I'd be looking at this as A, this is B, and then we'd be looking for 5-wave structure to the downside in which case what we'd be looking for would be a move down towards this 1618 area as a possible target zone. Now, it is always possible that this could actually look to extend further than this, and what we'd then be looking for would be the possibility of coming back down deeper into this zone, looking for some of these lower target areas. So we have hit this 0.236, which is a very rare target for a wave 2 or a B wave. And what we'd be looking for here is that if this move does look to reverse to the upside, and we do see something like this where we complete, if we only get 3 waves up and then we still continue to see a move down here, this could align with rather pushing down towards this 50% to this 382, which would be a much more common zone for a wave 2 or a B wave, which would also look to come back into this area here. We also, however, have a long wick down here, which wouldn't surprise me if we do see price actually look to back test this, if we are going to see a push back to the upside here. So we'll be keeping an eye on that, in which case the more likely target area would be between this 0.618 here at this 0.8880 to this 0.854. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this. If we do look to actually break down in 5-way structure from here, we do need to be, however, careful that we aren't forming a bigger 5-wave move, looking to actually break this low of this 1820 and invalidate this idea of a push to the upside. Now, depending on where this correction completes will affect where our target area is. If we had to argue that this moves into that 1618 and we get a reversal, 1123 would actually be the 1-to-1, in which case what we'd be saying is that, potentially this could be A, B, and C. So we'd have to keep an eye out for this as well. If this fails to develop into this 1618 area, this could align with just a corrective move up here, and we could still see more downside. Now, if we are looking at this idea of this turning into an impulse from this zone, this would be this 1255. Now, some other levels that we're going to go over here is that if we do look to move back down towards this 50% and look to actually take this area that we have got over here, what we'd be looking for would be 1078 if it's going to be a 3-wave move, and this 1618 level at 1205 for that target area. If, however, we push down deeper here and we look to push down possibly towards this golden pocket area, this starts to move this down. So effectively what we're doing here is measuring from the bottom of this move to the top of this, and then looking for this support zone. Wherever this move completes, that 1-to-1 is a potential C wave target, and the 1.618 is a potential 3rd wave target. So we'll have to see exactly how this develops here. If we start to break down impulsively, though, we need to just be very careful that this isn't just a 4th wave, like I said, and we could still be looking for that possibility of just having one more break to the downside here, looking for this 5th wave idea, where we're going to still see one more low come into place here, where this is just a 4th wave and we're looking for this 5th wave to the downside. Coming in and having a look at these CPR lines here, what we can see is we've had these CPR lines steadily printing above each other, but they are still lower than this previous one here. So if we do continue to hold this level of this S4 here at this 0933, potentially we could look for price to move back to the upside. The problem is today we have actually move down through these zones, so we can potentially find resistance at this 0943. We have this 0951, this 0961, and then these central lines between the 0968 and this area here of this 0971 as potential targets for resistance above us. Now, if we do, however, look to today find support here, look for a reversal back to the upside, get back above these central lines, targets would then become to the upside this 0979, we have this 0988 and this 09975, as well as this 10 cent region. So 10 cents is also going to be an important psychological level. If we do see a pushback up here, this could align still with this being a corrective move to the upside. So we'd have to be careful, because really within this idea of this triangle breakdown, until we actually cross this wave 1, which is way up here towards this 1111, we need to just be careful that we could still look for another push to the upside and still find rejection. Now, if we do look to push up here, I would be keeping an eye on this zone over here, because we have the potential to actually come back up here and look to test this level of this 1028 to this 1060 right in this area here. We also do have the potential for an SR flip, so we'll be keeping an eye on that, as well as the possibility of swing fading these highs here. A move back up here and then looking to break down would be bearish and would actually still align with that idea of the 5th wave, because at the moment we don't really have an impulse to the downside here. It is still looking a little bit choppy. We'll have to keep an eye on this to see how it develops, but if we do continue to break down here, eventually lose this low of this 820, I will be looking for those lower targets. Now, moving over here and having a look at the weekly CPRs, what we can see is we have new weekly CPR lines printed here, we have printed a much lower CPR than we previously had, and we are currently underneath these lines. So if we do look to move to the upside, we could look to potentially find resistance at this 0982, 0993, and this 10-cent region. So that 10-cent area is also lining up quite nicely again with those lows. If we do see price looking to move back into these and reject, what we could then see is price could get gravitated to the downside. Targets for this week would be the 0799, which would align with the idea of actually having a fifth wave to the downside here. And then we have lower targets here of the 0624 and this area here of the 0431. Now, the only way I would see these coming into play is if somewhere within here we're actually getting further extension and this whole move becomes like a 1-2, and then we start to break down in a bigger third wave. But there isn't really anything indicating that at the moment. We'll have to just watch the structure. If, however, we see price looking to flip these into support and get back above this 10-cent region, what I'll then be looking for, because once again we have this confluence here with our target box at this 1166, would be looking to see how we react around this zone. We could look to potentially swing fail some of these highs at this 1188 if we're going to still see that continuation down, and this is still within a fourth wave. Now, if we are looking at higher targets here for this week, we have this 1363 and this 1533 as potential tones that we could look for a reaction. Coming over and having a look at the monthly, what we can see is that we are currently underneath our central lines here. We did move down to our S2 line and we did find temporary support here. Now we are sitting at this S1 line as resistance. This could potentially offer us a rejection and we could look for continuation to the downside. If, however, we do look to move back down here, I will also be looking to see around this 0866 as a possible zone we could look to find support. And this would align with coming back into the zone of the 702. So going to be keeping an eye on that if we do look to actually correct down here in a bigger way. If we do look to hold the support and this low, we could potentially still look for that possibility of a rally to the upside, but we need to overcome this S1 resistance. And then other resistance to the upside here would be at this 1166 and this 1121 that we'd have to get through if we're looking for a bigger bullish move to the upside. Now, other targets for this month, which would actually align with something like a fifth wave here, is the R1 at this 1261. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this. If we do see price move back up here and see an interaction with the channel again, we could look for this possibility of seeing something like this to flush out some of these shorts that are in this area before looking for that continuation to the downside. Or alternatively, we see this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we look for that support to come back in lower down here and look for that continuation up. So that's going to be key within this. If we do develop a 5-wave move up here, I will be very cautious that this move could actually complete into this low here, and we could be looking for a more impulsive move to the upside, but we don't have enough evidence at the moment to suggest that is actually taking place. So going to be keeping an eye on that level. Other targets to the upside would be this 1421 and this 1538 as potential targets. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you will find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.